Welcome to the Explainer. Today we are diving into some genuinely historic data. We've got the official Election Commission numbers for all 234 constituencies of the 2026 Tamil Nadu Assembly elections, and honestly, they reveal a fundamental restructuring of one of India's most dynamic political landscapes. It's a lot to unpack, so let's get right into it. So let's start with the macro-level shockwave that just hit the state. For decades, the political narrative in Tamil Nadu has been defined by a very specific traditional rivalry. But when the dust finally settled on the 2026 counting centers, the core question on everyone's mind was simple, yet profound. Who actually conquered Tamil Nadu this time? Well, the data reveals a structural shift that very few historical models actually predicted. Okay, let's dive into this. 108. That is the magic number. Out of the 234 available assembly constituencies, a single newly ascendant party commanded an astonishing 108 seats. This isn't just a strong showing. This is a number that completely alters the power dynamic in the Legislative Assembly. It broke right through traditional strongholds and captured a massive portion of the electorate. To put that into perspective, let's break down exactly how the 234-seat distribution shakes out. The Tamilaga Vettri Kazhagam, or TVK, just dominates the board with those 108 seats. The traditionally dominant DMK secured 59 seats, and the ADMK holds 47. We also see the INC taking 5 seats, with a mix of others claiming the remaining 15. The numbers neutrally, yet absolutely undeniably, highlight TVK's dominance over the legacy party fortresses. Part 1. The Rise of TVK, Redrawing the Political Map. Let's get right into the exact figures for the winning candidates. See, Joseph Vijay executed a massive dual constituency victory. Over in the Prambar constituency, he secured a win with a towering margin of 53,715 votes. And if that wasn't enough, down in Tiruchirappalli East, he secured a second victory with a commanding margin of 27,416 votes. But you have to hear this third one. ECR P. Sarvanan, competing in Shojiannalur, delivered an absolute landslide, winning his constituency by an incredible margin of 96,780 votes. Margins like this aren't just narrow wins, right? They are deep structural mandates from local voters, signaling a serious desire for change. And, this brilliantly illustrates the shift we're talking about. According to the official ECI data for the Kalathur constituency, we witnessed a jaw-dropping upset. MK Stalin, literally a titan of Tamil Nadu politics, trailed TVK's candidate V.S. Babu. Babu secured the seat with a definitive margin of 8,795 votes. When a traditional stronghold flips like this, it tells us that voter behavior on the ground underwent a severe realignment. Part 2. The Traditional Giants, Evaluating the DMK and ADMK's Performance. Briefly comparing the two legacy parties overall, the DMK managed to secure 59 seats across the state, while the AMDK anchored 47 seats. Now, while these overall numbers are a definite shift from previous cycles, both parties still command significant, highly concentrated blocks of the electorate. So let's zoom into the specific constituencies where they successfully defended their ground. For the DMK, key historical figures held their constituencies, which really proves their localized strength. Udayanidhi Stalin secured Chepak Tiruvallikeni with a solid margin of 7,140 votes. Over in Tiruchuli, Thungam Tenarasu achieved a decisive victory, winning by a margin of 13,485 votes. And in Tiruchirappalli West, K.N. Nehru successfully navigated a pretty tight race, clinching the constituency with a 4,786 vote margin. So even amidst a statewide shift, these specific candidates maintained their deeply rooted voter bases. Now, what's really interesting is this specific number, 98,110. Because while we've seen massive wins from the rising TVK, the single largest margin of victory in the entire 2026 dataset actually belongs to an ADMK heavyweight. Let's break down the ADMK's localized successes. Edappadi Palaniswamy commanded an absolute blowout in his home turf of Edappadi, winning by that staggering 98,110 vote margin. I mean, that is an ironclad defense of his constituency. And he brought along other key ADMK candidates who also secured their regions. SP Velamani captured Thundamuthur with a comfortable margin of 14,725 votes, and Natham Viswanathan R. locked down the Natham constituency with an 11,869 vote margin. The legacy networks in these specific areas remain highly effective. Part 3. Key wins across the spectrum. Other notable victories. These highly targeted wins show us exactly how localized Tamil Nadu politics can be. Soumya Anbumani of the PMK secured a major victory in Dharmapuri, winning by a really robust margin of 20,896 votes. In Vrithachalam, Premalatha Vijay of the DMDK fought a closer battle but ultimately won with a 2,387 vote margin. And up in Udagamadalam, Bojarajan.m of the BJP managed a highly localized success, edging out a victory by just 976 votes. Amidst the wider TVK sweep, these parties capitalized perfectly on local demographics and specific regional issues. Let's move to part 4 and see how this builds. Closest and widest margins, pacing via extremes. Aside from the ADMK outlier we looked at earlier, the biggest absolute blowouts of the election belonged entirely to TVK candidates riding massive waves of local support. In Manavaram, ML Vijay Prabhu won by an astonishing 94,985 votes. R. Ramesh Kumar dominated Avadi with a 76,311 vote margin. And in Salem West, Lakshmanan S. secured a crushing 74,867 vote margin. In these constituencies, the opposition simply could not mount a statistical defense. But then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we found this number, 138. In an election featuring millions upon millions of cast ballots, this was the single smallest, most razor-thin margin in the entire dataset of 234 constituencies. Think about that. While some races were won by nearly 100,000 votes, others were decided by literally a handful of households. In Vepanahalli, the DMK's Srinivasan PS survived by just 138 votes. Down in Kanyakumari, the ADMK's Thalavai Sundaram N pulled out a victory by a mere 214 votes. And in Polur, TVK's Abhishek R edged past the finish line by just 227 votes. It is a stunning reminder that in these hyper-local races, every single vote truly matters. If you ever wondered if your individual ballot counts, well, this is your answer. So, what does this all mean? The crucial point we are left with is this. With TVK now holding a commanding 108 seats and legacy parties defending tight, specific fortresses, what does this massive structural shift mean for the long-term future of Dravidian politics? The 2026 data completely redefines the political map we thought we knew. The real question is, where does it go from here?